Transhumanism, a concept that has fascinated the minds of many, envisions a future where humanity transcends its biological limitations through the integration of advanced technologies. It is a vision that seeks to enhance our cognitive, physical, and emotional capacities, pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. In this narrative, the clandestine elites, a nice little touch with the clandestine there, I like that, hidden in the shadows of power, employ chemtrails as a vehicle to manipulate and control the masses, covertly advancing their transhumanist agenda. Well, congratulations to this piece of software. It knows more than most of the Americans that I'm constantly yammering at about what these chemical trails are really up to. So that was cool. So now I have a little bit of belief in the program, right? Mm-hmm. Then the next, we're going to read a couple more paragraphs. Picture, if you will, a world where the sky above is no longer a canvas of blue, but a tapestry of trails left behind by aircraft. These trails, often dismissed as mere contrails, are in fact the delivery mechanism for a secret payload. Within these chemtrails lie nanoparticles, engineered to infiltrate the human body and interact with our biological systems in the most fundamental level. Well, gee, I can assume that this computer has read my books.
That's what I was thinking too, Elana. I was like, did they just steal a lot of this from Elana Freeland?
Oh, of course they do. Of course they take everything. They throw everything in the big pot.
Your information's already in the web anyways, already in the matrix, you know?
Yeah. No, I assume it. I am referred to a lot, but people will not name my...
You want to help support Beyond Forbidden and receive extra content that's not seen anywhere else? By becoming a Patreon, a few things you will receive are the full-length 90-minute or 120-minute podcast episode. Members will also receive a private link of the video podcast and will only be exclusive to Patreon members. In-person, face-to-face interviews with some of the most well-known, respected researchers. Behind-the-scenes footage of interviews not seen anywhere else. And that's just a few perks. So what do you have to lose? Cut out one brain-rotting, overly processed Happy Meal a month that doesn't do anything beneficial for your mind, body, and spirit, and become a Patreon for just $5.
Welcome to Beyond the Forbidden. Today on the show, I got a second-time guest this year, Elana Freeland. Welcome back to Beyond Forbidden. How you been?
Oh, good. It's summer. It's finally summer in the Northwest.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad here in the South, in Louisiana. We had a lot of rain the past couple weeks, and the heat hasn't been too bad, but it's still humid and muggy, but just not usually like it normally is. So I got a lot of positive feedback on our last interview, a lot. And so late last night, I was taking notes yesterday for this interview. I was going to have you on for at least a month now. So, but I waited past couple days. I took a few notes, but I really buckled down last night, and it was late. I had to wake up at work. Yes, I actually do work. I don't do this full time, but I had to wake up at 5 o'clock, in the morning. That's what time I normally wake up. It's 5 to get to work. And I don't know when I emailed you last night. I think it was close to midnight. It was close. It was like 11:30 or something like that. My mind's just going, tired. My mind's just racing about all this craziness that we're going to be talking about, Elana. So I sent you a few little things that I was playing around with ChatGPT. And to me, you and others that might be listening to this, it's nothing new. But to some, it may be new. And it kind of dives on to some of the stuff that we'll be talking about today, with transhumanism, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, and all that. So what was your initial thoughts when you first saw that?
Well, like I told you, it was not new, and I'm used to this sort of back-ended bragging that goes on in the name of AI and how we're supposed to feel completely outdone, and this is going to be it. Well, first of all, you and I both know that on the internet, there's a lot of articles, there's a lot of people giving their thoughts, which I love that. But are they all people? Are any of them AIs? Well, I maintain that they are. In fact, someone sent me something. Yeah, someone gave me a book for my birthday, which was last month.
Well, happy late birthday.
Yeah, 76. Can you believe people get this old?
Wow, you still going strong with your research though, interviews and all that.
Oh yeah.
Just
No,
keep
I
it
think
going.
we have to really rethink aging if you are a conscious being, and I definitely am both of those. So anyway, somebody gave me a book. I read it. It was a autobiographical of an MK Ultra survivor. And I'm not new to that topic. I've spent a lot of time on it. I spent about 10 years on it years ago to figure out how the CIA did it and how you program people as instead of conditioning them. We're all conditioned by our culture, and we can all be conditioned by if we still have a TV, which I do not recommend. If you have a TV show you love, you're conditioned by it. And if you have you go to church, you go to a club, you've got friends, you've got certain habits. These are all conditioning elements. But programming is very different. Programming is a lot like what you sent me. This what does it call itself? Chat GPT.
Yeah.
That's a program, and it follows a certain algorithm, and that's kind of like MK Ultra, except that the algorithms can be shifted, and they use the old MK Ultra used three main approaches to first of all shattering your personality, picking up the pieces of the shattering, and then reprogramming those parts for various intelligence operations. That's sort of the origin of MK Ultra. So they used trauma-based mind control, They use trauma, and that can be sexual trauma, that can be physical, psychological, etc. And then they use hypnosis, and they use drugs. Those were the three biggies in the old days. Now we have to add electronics, electromagnetics. And then you can bypass the drugs. You can bypass the hypnosis. And as far as the trauma, you can adjust it just with a dial, because you're talking electromagnetics. So anyway, I know quite a bit about it. I know how it's done, and I know what it looks like when it is being done. The short of it is, I read this book, and all the way through, I was thinking, wow, this really sounds like an AI. This does not sound like a real MK Ultra survivor. First of all, there's almost no emotion. It was really short little sentences. There were certain things it would say that seemed to me to be simplistic. And yet, now and then, there would be a really good insight that you'd have to know about MK Ultra in order to know that. So I finished the book, and I thought, well, maybe it is a person, but they used one of the alters, the programmed personalities that they programmed. And maybe that personality is an AI personality. So that's the kind of analysis you have to go through now when you at least know what AI might sound like. And then, whether or not you could go to that person and say, hey, you sounded like an AI in this book. Did you really write it? That sort of thing. Now, most of the stuff that we see on the net, we are not able to do that. You can't just go to that person and say, "Are you a real person?" It's probably not going to be very polite. But on the other hand, we know it's going on. We know what's going on. So that's why I say to people, they can say, "Well, I don't trust so and so," and I say that myself about certain people. I don't trust them. I don't read them. And I certainly don't put them up on my social media for others to read. But am I right? Well, I might be, I might not be, but that's my summation. That's what I decided to do. And I think we're all going to have to kind of do that in order to get used to the fact that there are a lot of AI programs writing articles. And it's really not that difficult to imagine. If you've got a smart computer, you've got one of the supercomputers, and it can go through things tick 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 really fast, because it's basically a computation instrument. And that's important to remember, because they keep telling us how smart these computers are. And they're much smarter than we are, and they will bypass us, or they already have bypassed us, etc. Well, what do you call smart? And this is the key to me, and why I'm not that concerned with this article. Now, you said that it took this 3 seconds to write, right?
Oh yeah, it didn't take long at all. And what really baffled me is, like you said, I've been doing this for a long time. You've been doing this for a long time. This may not be new, but what's scary, maybe because I was tired last night and I was in, and
No, you're not the only one saying it's scary.
I was in a trance because it's late and I'm just trying to take some last minute notes. And then it hit me like, whoa, this is in the infancy stage. This is in the infancy stage and it's already like this. What's it going to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now? You know what I mean, Lana? That's what's scary.
Yeah, but it's not taking into account what we're going to be like. I mean, the answer to these AIs, the first thing you have to do is think what they are doing to our intelligence, what they are doing to our consciousness, how they are manipulating us to plug us in to what I call the space fence lockdown. In other words, the smart grid that goes all the way up into space, where the Elon Musk satellites and Google satellites and DARPA's satellites, I mean, thousands of satellites up there, all armed with 5G and 6G, and maybe even some of them with 7G. They have prepared that top layer of the space fence lockdown with the infrastructure here on the Earth. And the infrastructure has to do with everything I name in the second book I wrote, Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. That space fence lockdown has to do with our nervous system. So just keep in mind that as we're weighing the intelligence and the infancy of the computers and what they can do, we have to at the same time take into consideration how they're dumbing us down so that we will fit into the intelligence factor of the computer. That's the key. The computer's intelligence will never be that of a human being who is really developed out of their own resources. I'm not talking about developed by like with enhanced by machine programming, etc. No, I'm talking about someone, well, like myself, although I'm probably not the greatest example, because there are people whose head and shoulders I have stood upon as I learn what I learn and then pass it on to others. That's how it works. But you have your own intelligence, your own resources, you make your own decisions. Am I just going to be a couch potato in my life? Am I going to just jam ice cream and popcorn in my mouth while I watch all my favorite reruns and movies, etc. Is that my decision? If that's your decision, well, you're not the people I'm talking to then, because that is programming. When you're watching TV, you may think you have a lot of your own resources that you're weighing in on the program with. But the truth is that the television was made for programming. It is not just a flashy looking piece of hardware that delivers cool movies or games. No, this is a very sophisticated weapon system for the human nervous system. So, the idea that, oh yeah, I only let my kids watch whatever those programs are for kids.
Yeah.
I only let them watch the Discovery Channel, used to be what I'd hear when I was younger and a Waldorf teacher. I only let them watch the Discovery program. I only let them watch blah, blah, blah. But they don't seem to understand what I'm saying is that, like Marshall McLuhan, the wonderful social critic of my era long ago, he said that the medium is the message, not the content of the show. That goes beside the point. That has to do with people's careers and how they can manipulate you into being entertained or feeling that you're being educated. However, no, the medium is a message means you're only doing one thing when you're watching TV. You're watching TV. That's all you're doing, and it's
You're watching. You're watching the program.
You're being programmed by the program. Exactly.
Yep.
And it's going in your retina, into your optic nerve, to your brain, and you are now being programmed. So I have never owned a television, as I love to say over and over. People just can't believe that. Oh, how do you know anything, Elana? That's great. As if you get knowledge from TV, which
Yeah.
you don't. Usually I get my knowledge from books and from reading other people's work. So, okay, that's the key to looking at programs like this Chat GPT. And your question was very good. So let me just read your question that you sent me.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and just read that briefly, go ahead and go ahead and read the entire thing, and then after that, since we basically already kind of talked about it.
Oh, I don't know if we want to read the whole thing, really. It's not that good.
Okay.
It's really not that
all right.
good.
Well, go
But
ahead and read the question.
I am going to point out a few things because I went through it. Okay, so what you did is you got in touch with ChatGPT and you gave them this question. Give me a description on how elites are using chemtrails laced with nanoparticles with at least 400 words and describe it as if you were Arthur C. Clarke writing about it and how it will be used to push transhumanism. Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, and so I also know the limitations of it. Like, you can't just say, tell me if JFK was murdered by 2 or 3 different people. You gotta either use certain key phrases too, though. You gotta know how to use. I've heard you say it before, Elana. You got to use the system against itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right away, and you said that it responded in no more than 3 seconds.
It didn't take long at all. No.
Right.
It was almost instantly.
Instant. Okay, and that makes sense. We will not be able to compete with the ability of computers to be fast. No way. And if you think intelligence is fast, well, I guess that's your decision. But that is not how I think of intelligence. So I'm looking at, I'll just read the first paragraph. Transhumanism, a concept that has fascinated the minds of many, envisions a future where humanity transcends its biological limitations through the integration of advanced technologies. It is a vision that seeks to enhance our cognitive, physical, and emotional capacities, pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. In this narrative, the clandestine elites a nice little touch with the clandestine there. I like that. Hidden in the shadows of power, employ chemtrails as a vehicle to manipulate and control the masses, covertly advancing their transhumanist agenda. Well, congratulations to this piece of software. It knows more than most of the Americans that I'm constantly yammering at about what these chemical trails are really up to. So that was cool. So now I have a little bit of belief in the program, right? Then the next, we're going to read a couple more paragraphs. Picture, if you will, a world where the sky above is no longer a canvas of blue, but a tapestry of trails left behind by aircraft. These trails, often dismissed as mere contrails, are in fact the delivery mechanism for a secret payload. Within these chemtrails lie nanoparticles, engineered to infiltrate the human body and interact with our biological systems in the most fundamental level. Well, gee, I can assume that this computer has read my books.
That's what I was thinking too, Elana. I was like, did they just steal a lot of this from Elana Freeland?
Oh, of course they do. Of course they take everything. They throw everything in the big pot.
Your information's already in the web anyways, already in the matrix, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I assume it. I am referred to a lot, but people will not name my name. Okay, so the nanoparticles conceived and designed by the elites, very good point, possess a remarkable capability to integrate with our neural pathways, enhancing our cognitive abilities and expounding. I have this in yellow. I marked this. And expanding the boundaries of human intelligence. That is not true. They are not expanding the boundaries of human intelligence. They are mechanizing the boundaries of human intelligence through their software and their hardware. That's me. I just said that. That's not what I'm reading. So there's misleading, very misleading little phrases throughout the entire essay. Now I'm reading again. Once these particles are inhaled or absorbed into the bloodstream, they navigate through our bodies, targeting specific regions of the brain responsible for memory, learning, and creativity. Well, I'm not sure about the creativity. I think they threw that in to make it sound like it's creative when it really isn't. I'm reading again. The result is a gradual augmentation of our mental faculties. Questionable augmentation. If you mean the augmentation, you would have to define what mental faculties are being augmented. And I would maintain that anyone who is really plugged in to all the computerization going on, it's very hard to not be plugged in to some degree. You have to really ask yourself what kind of mental faculties in me are being augmented. And I would maintain it's your automatic systems are being augmented. You are responding and reacting. It's like people are saying, people just don't seem to be thinking anymore. They're just like going exactly the way it is on the TV or the iPhone. And that would be an
autopilot mode
of a particular type of mental faculties. But it sure ain't intelligence being augmented in the least, not in the least. I mean, how many people you'll say to them, well, what does that word mean? Oh, wait a minute, I'll ask my cell phone. And I remember, I can't remember who it was. Might have been Elon Musk. Yeah, I think it was Elon Musk, early days, when he said, now you'll be much smarter because you've got your cell phone. Well, you're not going to be any smarter, right?
Right.
It's your cell phone that is giving you the answers like you would a bear in a circus act. Okay, so and then I'm reading the result is a gradual augmentation of our mental faculties, a subtle transformation that blurs the line between man and machine. Yes, that is what is really going on. is it isn't that, I maintain, it isn't that the computers are getting smarter than us. It's that our smart is being changed into their smart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very different thing. When you read a poem by Yeats or Dante's Inferno, something from when the English language, for example, was such a magnificent high experience of beauty and truth. That is a very different thing in the realm of intelligence than what we have going today, where all we think about are statistics and big long words, like reading all the medical stuff I have to read in order to write this synthetic biology book is really quite frustrating, because it seems to me that most of the papers and patents are concentrating on using words that obscure to the common intelligence of the human being. You would have to have perhaps either and I think that even a medical degree now,
Yeah.
through med school, you are not going to understand a lot of the new terms that are the nomenclature that's coming out of the last 3 years. So, it's all intended to obscure, not to, and so for a very small elite band of scientists who have that nomenclature down, they know what it's referring to, and they're the only ones who know. So, this is kind of how we have to think. We think that we're reading about things, or we're being intelligent, and yet you really have to analyze what is being assumed here, particularly in an essay like this. So then let me just go, and then I'm going to let you
Okay.
say something. But there was another a line of yellow that I did. So this is another paragraph. The implications of such a transformation are profound. The elites, with their newfound control over human cognition and physicality, hold the power to shape the course of humanity's evolution. That is somewhat true, absolutely, because they've been working on this a lot longer than we've been aware that they're working on it. Reading now, they become the architects of a new world. Very nice that they put that word architect in there, that this program has that, because as soon as you see the word architect, you're talking Freemasonry. That is how the Freemasons see themselves, as the architects of society, the architects of the world. Okay, they become the architects of a new world where where, and then I have this in yellow, the boundaries of individuality and free will are blurred and a collective consciousness emerges. Yes, it's called the hive mind. So it's telling the truth right here, but not all the way through the essay. So again, you're faced with the challenge now. If it is an AI written one, the good news is the AI often will tell the truth. If it's something that it can phrase in a way that sort of is a little obscure or generalizing, but nothing very specific. And then otherwise, it'll spin it different ways and move your mind here, there, and elsewhere. So it's a real challenge to be able to read between the lines now, not just of AI written stuff, but of actually people who are almost automatons and just spit out what they have learned in grad school, or what the job requires, because we all know that mainstream media lie. So you have this very challenging moment where you went to school to learn to read, and you thought that, okay, now I know how to read, so I'm ready. But now we really need another few courses on how to read disinfo, misinfo, spin, agendas and
Mhm.
all of that. And it takes time. I mean, I'm pretty good at it now, but how many years have I been at this? About 40 years. So it takes some time. So I wanted to point that out, that where the boundaries of individuality and free will are blurred and a hive mind emerges. This is what they want us to have, as a hive mind. Now then, they're going to wow us with how superior computers are to our intelligence. Well, excuse me, you've just pretty much obliterated any individual intelligence that most people might have by means of your technologies like television, going to constant movies, iPhones, etc. You're purposely blurring the lines of between individuality, free will, and intelligence. You're blurring all that. And so what's to impress us? That you've got these machines that are lightning fast. Yeah, that's nice. That'll save some people some money, I guess. But really, you've brought me, the American person, low in my intelligence, and then I'm supposed to be impressed by your software and your algorithms and things. I don't think so.
I think it ties into, and to kind of move forward a little bit, but
Yeah,
everything with your research and what we're going to be talking about and what I'm about to bring up, it all connects.
it all
That
connects.
that chat GPT thing that you just read that I sent you, uh artificial intelligence, transhumanism, which is your latest book, and I got some notes on that, and nanoparticles. I think it's all connected, and you've been talking about this for a while, and especially within your books. You lay out the groundwork, you lay out the blueprint agenda out very well. And so let's move to nanoparticles, because like I said, it's all interconnected, and you interconnect this in your books and also with your interviews and all that. So,
Now the nanoparticles are the big thing. They really are. I mean,
I think I'm I might need your help on something here, because let me see. So many people have experienced sleep paralysis. An article off the National Institute of Health says, quote, sleep paralysis is a common condition that affects approximately 7.6% of the general population during our lifetime. The episode the episodes happen either during sleep onset or offset and entail gross motor paralysis coupled with full consciousness of the situation. So, and that's end quote. That's off the National Institute of Health, NIH. So, with that 7.6% of the population, that makes 25.2 million people out of roughly 332 million people here in the United States. So, so do you think that a large chunk of that 25.2 million people who experience sleep paralysis, Elana, may be actually experiencing? I mentioned, like, I want to bring up nanoparticles, but because you talk about like the nanodust and the all the frequencies and the electromagnetic field and all this, they're tampering with our atmosphere. So do you think that with the smart grids, with the smart cities, the smart grid and everything else, the frequencies that is in our cities, in our skies and everything, do you think that certain people, I know this is a huge speculation on my part, but there's something with this. I have a feeling with just sleep paralysis. I don't think everyone is just natural. It could
no,
be.
no,
It
no,
could be. It
no.
could be. But I think a chunk out of that 25.2 million people who experience sleep paralysis in the United States, if those figures are correct, I would say at least half or a quarter, at least a quarter, might be a form of experimentation, with these frequencies, voice to skull or whatever. And you said through your research that we already have nanoparticles in us. So, and they're spraying our skies. So, who's to say that those people aren't just the kill switch is off, but they're not dead? They're just being experimented on. I know that's a
That's right.
huge jump, but what do you think about that?
No, I think you're right, and I would be emboldened to say it was most of the people experiencing paralysis, sleep paralysis. Uh, Truthfully,
You're
that is,
instead of, I'm sorry to interrupt, but instead of mind control, your body your body is controlled. Body control,
well, in this
you know.
case, okay, so let's just consider a whole other way of looking at this. I think this is very important. And fortunately, I have a big background in reading very widely, not just Rudolf Steiner, but of
Mhm.
course, I've spent 45 years studying Rudolf Steiner's ideas. So that's going to have a large influence on my thinking. So just to be upfront. Um, Truthfully, the body is one thing. And of course, the brain is definitely being targeted. One of the things that will be targeted while you sleep, and it isn't necessarily the cause of the sleep paralysis, but it's a very key point, is your pineal gland. And the pineal gland is considered in ancient times the third eye. And what the pineal gland does, it produces melanin, melatonin, and
Serotonin converts into serotonin or something
serotonin,
like that.
but and I'm not sure what the right word is. It's melatonin or melanin. It's the it's an enzyme that produces the ability to um, receive from another level because you're asleep. And the pineal gland with its melatonin and is really some sort of doorway. We all know this. I mean, you can throw out a lot of the old sages that said that had spiritual terms for all these things, but that
Why do
would be
you why do you think whenever you take, because I've taken melatonin, I've worked a lot of crazy jobs, especially my last job. Just I could be up 24 hours and I'm just on adrenaline, so I take some melatonin and have wicked dreams. You're enhancing your pineal gland. Wicked, vivid dreams. You
well.
know.
You're not just enhancing your pineal gland. You may be opening doorways to entities of other dimensions. I mean, that's the level to think of the pineal gland on. This is not just an organ in the brain, but it is in the brain, and it's in the very center of the brain. I mean, it's like the castle of the Grail of the brain. And so, of course, there's experimentation going on while people sleep. That's the ideal time. It's like even the chemtrails that are up there, it's called noctilucent chemical trails. Noctilucent chemical trails are completely different from the kind of chemical trails you see when the sun is shining high above the planet and it's daylight. So nighttime is a time when a certain type of experimentation is going on. Dream engineering, like in that movie with let's see, what was that movie? The movie about the guy who would enter people's dreams and steal their ideas and make a fortune from it. Leonardo DiCaprio was in it. Uh,
Um,
and so that movie is particularly interesting in that whoever put that script together, they knew things about MK Ultra. They knew things. So, all right. So the pineal gland is influenced at
Inception.
night.
Are you talking about Inception?
Yeah,
Yeah.
inception. The pineal gland is influenced at night. If your pineal gland is producing too much crystal, which is apparently is going on, and now we're with the nanotechnology now. They can use the nanotech that we've breathed in from the chemical trails and make it produce crystals that literally take over the pineal gland so that it will not be that wonderful gateway that we need at night. Because the idea, and all shamans say this, at night when you sleep, your spiritual self leaves the body and goes maybe wandering around visiting people according to your skills, or goes to the spiritual world and takes a nice long rest, while the body in the bed, which now is not burdened by that part of the human being that takes a lot of work. It's called the astral body in ancient times. And we've heard about astral travel and things that shamans do. So that part goes through that gate. Now, say that gate is closed because it's almost not existent anymore because of the crystals that are being produced in it through electromagnetism and nanotechnology. Well, that's going to go badly because your sleep will not be of a certain quality whereby you can rest the body. And meanwhile, you're going to go somewhere and maybe talk to some wise people. Let's just imagine this for those who have had no experience of this. And I am not one of those people. I've had many experiences. This sleep is so important that it's the first thing that will be taken from targeted individuals. They will not be able to sleep. So the fact that so many people in America are having sleep difficulties, I mean, I don't know the figures, but it's millions. Now we're getting somewhere because that is not natural. And we can blame the electromagnetism, which we should. Most people's apartments and homes are loaded with 5Gs now, and they get headaches, and they have various symptoms, and they don't know what to blame, so they go to a doctor and they get drugs. It's a real social dilemma now.
Drugs that calcify your pineal gland.
Exactly.
And I'm glad you brought
liver.
up pineal gland. And I thought I asked you this on the last interview that we did, but I've asked it at least since last fall, a couple times with other interviews. I may have mentioned it to you also. I don't remember. So here we go. Let's use the Wi-Fi and computer metaphor. I would say our brain is like a hard drive, and our pineal gland acts like the transmitter that can pick up these Wi-Fi signals, such as a computer does. Our soul could act in similar ways that a Wi-Fi signal does to all computer-related devices. Maybe when we are in the womb of a pregnant woman, our mother, possibly in the developmental phase of that fetus, maybe that woman's pineal gland picks up and transmits an incoming Wi-Fi signal, aka the soul, and somehow it transmits that signal to the child. And could that be a reason why they are keeping us in a perpetual state of fear and anxiety, and we have all these spraying the atmosphere and all this electromagnetic frequencies? Because the elites want to, the ones that don't have souls, maybe they want a soul. They want to try to hack the incoming soul. So,
wow, you're mixing your metaphors so much in there.
And could that be a reason why they're keeping us perpetual state of fear and anxiety so they can hack the incoming soul, aka a Wi-Fi signal, before it becomes implanted into the baby? But none of that can be possible if their manufactured artificial dystopian future doesn't come to fruition. But we know that if they keep us in a perpetual state of fear, we're more easily controlled. So if our mother, the pregnant woman, in a perpetual state of fear, does it make the soul hacking process much easier whenever that happens? Because some people that come into this world, we've heard about NPCs, non-player characters, where there's just no soul. They're soulless. They're like zombies. They come into this world mind controlled. I feel like there's something deeper level going on with the Brotherhood of Darkness, the elites out there. And I feel like they're trying to hack the soul before if it even becomes into this world, because if they can do that, then it's game over.
Well, then they may not need all those vaccines that are destroying children as soon as they arrive. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah,
I am absolutely opposed to
that could be a part of it.
vaccinating.
That could be part of
Yeah.
it too. Yes,
But I'm
definitely.
not comfortable with you using electromagnetic terms regarding the soul, because the soul is not electromagnetic at all. And this is one of the lies that they're feeding us, is that, first of all, that light itself is
I meant that they're
electromagnetic.
maybe I didn't say it right. They're using all these frequencies and all these bombarding us with all 5G and all this, and all around us in these smart cities, these smart grids, and we're around these things all the time, and it's messing with our DNA. It's doing something to
is.
us, you know.
And think of how many pregnant women have that damn cell phone
And
right over the uterus.
and I know, and what's it doing to developmental phase of the fetus?
It's no good.
You know what I
It's
mean?
no good. It's bad news. And it's from just sheer ignorance of people to understand that there is a huge electromagnetic field around those iPhones. And now you've got it over your belly if you're a pregnant woman. And it's going straight into that fetus. And that, what you're looking at is autism. You're looking at all the autism that's going off the charts now. You're looking at learning disabilities, ADD, ADHD, all the things that we see in schools now. I mean, the ignorance that we are allowed to live in is so horrible. It should be jail time for these guys, because, for example, the electromagnetic frequency, and we got to return to the sleep problem. Going, what was it called?
The sleep paralysis.
Yeah, sleep paralysis. I know a lot about that. So, but you know, to allow us to in the name of corporate profits, to destroy human beings with the electromagnetism, especially now that the world is wireless. But you can see why they want to do that for their own gain. You know, there are thousands and thousands of operations going on in the sky all the time. Wireless operations, military, industrial intelligence complex stuff. And then the citizens are allowed a certain quantity of bandwidth for their toys and their, the things that they're sold. But as far as protecting the human being, really, for these people that are running this culture today, human beings are simply things, more of the Internet of Things, the Internet of nano things, the Internet of bodies. And so they will be experimented on 6 ways to Sunday in every way possible. We don't even have to doubt it. It's going on all the time. So now let's talk about the sleep paralysis. It's I once had a roommate who had sleep paralysis, and he was a scientist working for one of the very big top defense contractors. Now, whether or not they set him up to be an experiment, I don't know. But living in the house with him, we had an agreement that if I heard him struggling during the night and his sleep, that I would come into his room and I would lay my hand on his arm or whatever, just lay my hand, and immediately he could come into his body. Because that's what the problem was. The sleep paralysis was because and he said this, and he didn't believe in any spiritual anything. He didn't believe in anything. I mean, he was total materialistic science guy. But he had to admit that he felt his consciousness was up in the corner of his room and was not being allowed to come into his body. But as soon as I touched him, it was as though I acted like a touchstone, and he was able to quickly get into his body and sit up, the sweat pouring from him. I mean, you can't get in your body. You're looking at death. That's what it means to someone who has sleep paralysis. So then later, much later, in fact, just recently, I learned from a guy named Donald Marshall, who has written a couple of badly edited books about something he calls REM sleep paralysis. And what it is, according to him, is when someone, this is under intelligence agencies for sure, when someone goes to sleep, it'll take about an hour to an hour and a half to enter REM sleep, which we all know is the deep sleep. And when he enters the deep sleep, his astral body is removed from his physical body and taken thousands of miles away to a cloning center, where a clone of him is sitting like a rag doll, just completely inert. And as soon as the electromagnetic frequency brings that astral body, because the astral body, what is it? Is it a thing? No, it's a frequency. It's a frequency. And my guess is it has some plasma in it, because plasma is matter, but it's a very diaphanous matter. It's something you can sort of see through. So anyway, that's my picture of it. So it goes into the clone, and immediately the clone sits up, and now he's still in his bed, thousands of miles away, and he is in deep sleep. Now, his consciousness is not available to him. He may be having fragments of dreams, maybe not, I don't know. But where his astral body is, now that clone takes on his consciousness.
Do you want to help support Beyond Forbidden and receive extra content that's not seen anywhere else? By becoming a patron, a few things you will receive are the full-length 90-minute or 120-minute podcast episode. Members will also receive a private link of the video podcast and will only be exclusive to Patreon members. In-person, face-to-face interviews with some of the most well-known, respected researchers. Behind-the-scenes footage of interviews not seen anywhere else. And that's just a few perks. So what do you have to lose? Cut out one brain-rotting, overly processed Happy Meal a month that doesn't do anything beneficial for your mind, body, and spirit, and become a Patreon for just $5.